Hi everyone, welcome back to our new Ask the Expert episode again. So nice to see you after 2 weeks that we learned about how to fight the fear of going live and how to sell live and then stand out with Livescale and using live shopping. And this week we have invited the live streaming pro, Stephanie Liu, to explain to us what she does best, a remote live producer, because we've been getting this question a lot from our community, from prospect, from client asking, oh, I want to get into live shopping, but I have no idea how should I do that, and I don't have a team that dedicate for live shopping, and then I'm just going to make mistake. No, you don't have to, because if you're inexperienced, you can also learn and then hire someone that experienced it to help you to fill out those knowledge gap as well. So today, let's invite our guest, bring our guest out here. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm excited for today. Yay!
Yeah, me too. I guess all of us are as well, because like we already did one episode in your show, right, to talk about what is live shopping, and many of us love it. So like I'm really happy to have you here in our show to talk about how to choose the remote live producer as well.
Yes, absolutely. Remote live video production. It's a thing, and it's going to help you take your live shopping event on a whole nother level. So it'll be very, very exciting.
Yeah, cool. So if you guys don't know about Stephanie Liu, Stephanie is like as I said, live streaming queen, and she's been doing a lot and teaching a lot about brand, how to get into live shop, how to get into live streaming, and her client profile going from moonwalker to the master chef as well. She's the expert in getting you on the fascination fast track to ignite the ideas and become the confident on camera. And she's also named as one of the top 50 digital marketing thought leaders as well in the field. So I'm sure you guys will be able to learn a lot today. And so Stephanie, do you bring something to us today to talk about how to pick a remote live producer?
So much today. Yes, absolutely. If you've been thinking about, hey, I want to hire a remote live video producer to help me with my live shopping event, then this is the episode for you. Because we're going to talk about what you should be looking for when you are hiring a remote live video producer, because there are different skill sets that we all bring to the table. And so this is something to keep in mind when you are having those conversations. So I definitely have a deck ready for all of you.
Amazing. We can't wait for that. So let's bring it out then.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about remote live video producer and why remote live video production is something that you want to look into for your live shopping event. Helen, did you want to add anything else before I kick it off?
No, it's okay. I think we're all ready for the, but we can take some time to say hi to people. Like we have Jennifer joining us today, and we have Madison joining us to learn about how to pick remote live producer. Or maybe I can actually, for those who is like really new to live shopping or live streaming, they don't understand what is remote live producer. It's basically a person to help you to handle this streaming part. So you can all just focus on the content. So if you're a brand, right, and you want to do a live streaming show or live shopping show, and there's a lot to learn to pick that up, especially in these time everyone's trying to get into live streaming because it's a really authentic way to stay in touch with your community. But you have no experience in live streaming. You don't even probably know what is Larix. You're not familiar with OBS or any sort of streaming platform, Restream, StreamYard, and you're panicking. So what do you do, right? So we get asked this question a lot. So should I hire a production house to work on it? Should I hire someone expert to work on the streaming platform for us? And this is exactly what Stephanie is going to introduce to you today. Well, we think that it's good to hire a remote live producer just because it's already overwhelming enough for you to prepare the content and the strategy side of the live shopping or live streaming content. So have this technical person to solve all the rest for you can definitely help you to get a good start to go into the live streaming world.
Yeah, it's like having your own chief streaming officer because you've already did the heavy lifting when it came to getting the actual product, putting together the assets, getting the talent, getting the equipment, now having someone actually run the live show for you. That's where the magic's going to happen. So, are we ready to start this?
Yeah, we're all ready.
All right, so Madison and Jennifer, get ready because we're going to have a lot of fun. All right, so when it comes to live video production, one question that I want to ask you is, when it comes to consumers, what percentage of consumers prefer live video from a brand versus a blog post? Think about this. Is it A, 40%, B, 60%, or C, 80%? Helen, what do you think?
C, because I remember I read some statistic that is like, yeah, I think it's C. I remember it's 80%, because I was a previous blogger. Like I write blog posts for a different company, and when I read that statistics, like, oh my god, what I was doing? Like I should just like do video because like 80% of the people prefer that. So I remember it's 80% if I didn't remember it wrong.
Yeah, no, ding, 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 ding. You got it right. 80% of consumers, yes, prefer live video from a brand versus a blog post. And having been a blogger, you probably understand the value of a video first strategy, which means if you did a live video first and then you took that content and you repurposed it into a blog post, then that's an extra way for you to create all of this digital confetti online for people to find you. So what's so compelling about doing live video is the very fact that live video gives you these happy brain chemicals, right? This is an amazing opportunity for you to connect with your audience. When you think about it, right, when you're answering their questions, when I get to engage with Helen and everyone else in the crew that's here live, they get these happy brain chemicals, that dopamine, that oxytocin, that serotonin, and those endorphins. Why wouldn't you want to create this amazing rapport with your audience? It's one of the best things that you could absolutely do. In fact, this is something that Helen and I were just like, oh my gosh, this is a trend. This is real, right? The fact that live shopping generated 60 billion in global sales in 2019 with US sales accounting for $1 billion of that slice. This is an opportunity for you to take advantage of that. And not only that though, but just when you're doing your live video production, make it different, make it stand out from the sea of sameness. This is your opportunity because Livescale.tv, man, you guys are doing some amazing and wonderful things, right? So to Helen's point, what is a live video producer? Well, a live video producer manages a live broadcast remotely without having to be on site. So that means if I'm here in San Diego and Helen is in Singapore or Thailand or wherever she wants to be, right? We have the power of the internet to still connect and produce a show that stands out from everyone else and keeps your brand top of mind and tip of tongue.
Yeah, and
Now, go for it.
I want to actually add in a little bit here because, like, from our community or like client side, we always get that question: oh, if we look for a production house or remote live producer, should we look for a person that is on the same region or like same location, right? Because they're like, oh, we have to do that, so we like be in the same place with these difficult times might be tricky. As Stephanie should know, like nowadays, most of us working from home, probably your host is going to be streaming for your show from home as well. So definitely there's no need to have someone that is on location. It's good if you can have someone next to your host to do the production things, to do the planning and everything. But currently everyone there's just no excuse for saying remote is not working because we're all remote today. And this is also why, like, when everyone asks me, do we need to find someone in the same location? I always say, you don't really need, just like how you're working so well at home as well, it will be the same for the producer and then also for the host as well.
Yeah, if anything, I would prioritize the communication skills and the problem skills versus location. Because when it comes to live streaming, you need to have someone that knows how to troubleshoot on the fly, right? I feel like that's going to be much more important as opposed to location. So having said that, here's a perfect example. One of my clients was Anna Kachikian. So she was a former host of TMZ, the TMZ Report, yes, with all of the celebrities. Well, she hosted her own show, the Armenian Report, and she was very lucky enough to interview Armenia's prime minister's daughter. So Anna was in LA, I was in San Diego, and then our guest was all the way in Armenia, so a completely different continent. And we were able to go ahead and put together a live video production for her. In fact, the Facebook reach alone was about 700,000, right, in a mere 24 hours, and that was all organic. Just imagine what you could do if you did a whole entire campaign spread from email, social media, paid media, all of the things, all of the wonderful things that you could actually do with Livescale, right? Now, other ways that I've seen other brands, nonprofits, organizations, even e-commerce leveraging live remote producers is if they're putting a virtual summit together. This is a great opportunity for you to bring on host experts, key opinion leaders, any of those individuals, and have someone in the background actually run the show for you. This is something that we did for the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference, and we were able to sell tickets to this event online. Me managing again here in San Diego, we had someone in St. Louis and someone else in a different country all together, and it worked out perfectly.
I have a question here, Stephanie.
Yeah, go for it.
So when you face client like that, do they like, okay, let's try this the first time, or they also have some hesitant in the first go, like, oh, remote, we're gonna work with the big events, or even selling tickets, nothing is physical, right? In that situation, do you hear some pain point that it's common among your client as well when they first get into remote live producer?
Oh yeah, I would say most clients, when they're thinking about live streaming remotely, they're just like, oh, can we just do a pre-recorded video? And I will tell you that, like, the biggest difference is the energy of being live is very different from a pre-recorded video, especially if you're going from one session to the next, because one person might have like a bubbly personality and the next person might be very monotone. And so when you have that pre-record, you're like, oh man, you just lost the energy of the actual production of it. And so when you actually have it live, it's super helpful to have that. I would also say that a big major concern for clients is usually, well, what about the gear? You know, and I think when you have a live video producer that is well-versed about what's some basic gear that you can have so that way you look good and you sound good on camera, then that's always going to be very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that.
Yes. So one thing that I've always said, I would probably say a couple of years ago, is that early adopters of live streaming would be able to capitalize their expertise by offering their skill set as a service. And what we're finding is that brands are embracing live video producers to help them with the actual strategy, the production, the video optimization, and paid media support. So this is one of the reasons why, if you're choosing to hire a remote live video producer, think of what they actually bring to the table. There are some live video producers that just show up and say, all right, cool, I'll just switch the scenes for you, right? A scene switcher is very, very different from a live video producer, which we'll go through today. I have a lot to share with you today.
Yeah.
And one thing that I will say is that even with our late night TV shows, right here in the US, they're still finding ways to put an entertaining show online. You just need the right gear. And again, when you have the right live video producer, I'm sure you could even email Helen. She'll give you a great list that you could go ahead and take a look at. Good. Now, something to keep in mind is that when you hire a remote live video producer, they could take your presentation. So something like this. This was one of my clients. He was doing an actual presentation to shareholder investors, and this is how it looked like, which is great. I mean, it's nice. You have the slide right there, and then he was also using a green screen, but he was so teeny tiny, right? So teeny tiny on the actual monitor. And I was like, you know what? We need to level up your authority, because if you are asking, for people to invest in your company, invest in your product or your service, you want to appear confident on camera. So why not make it look like this? And so we redid the entire presentation. And again, this was live. This is a completely different look from what he had before. And these are the opportunities that you can have when you have a live video producer. Helen, did you want to add anything to that real quick?
Yeah, actually, because
Night and day.
yeah, I think that's a really, really great example, because it's also why you want to work with people with experience. Because what is it, when you first get into live shopping, you're in panic mode. You just care about, which camera I should use. Should I just use mobile phone? What happened to the audios? And then how am I going to communicate with the host? You wouldn't have the brain space to think about how to optimize what you already have. And that's where and why it's so powerful to work with the live producer, because they work like million show on that, and they know exactly what you miss just by the first look. They know that green screen is nice, but you can make it even better, right? And this is something that an experienced expert can provide you. And this is also why we always say, get a remote live producer. Even though you don't work with the producer for the actual show, you can at least get a consultation, get an advice, to know a checklist of things that you can already do without spending the time to build your own. Because if you want to build it from scratch, it's going to take you time. It takes some years to become an expert, right? So I think that was a really, really great example.
Exactly. Yeah, this was one of those times where, he was coming because he saw certain things online that he thought looked good. And then what's great about live video producers is that we also bring in the psychology into it, right? This looks very, very different and much more powerful and authoritative versus this, right? Because we're making him larger, we're showing the slides, and it makes it much, much more impactful. So also, when you're working with a live video producer, you want to know what their approach is. In most cases, live video producers will integrate social media into your actual show. So they could assist you with things like analytics. How is your show performing? Ding, 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 ding. Livescale lets you know how your actual live shopping event is actually performing, which is amazing. Some producers also help you out with the creative. So if you don't have a creative team to help you, a live video producer either has the resources, the relationships to help you with that. They also have the experience with paid media, earned media, as well as SEO. These are all things, again, when you're hiring a live video producer, are they there just as a scene switcher, or are they your chief streaming officer? Definitely something to keep in mind. Go for it.
So yeah, I just want to add something here. Like when it comes to paid media in particular, I think it's really great to know a bit more from the experience, because all the marketers, I'm sure, that get into live shopping know how to do paid media. They're really familiar with Instagram, with Facebook. But when you have to do a paid media for a specific live event, which means you have to be targeting that specific hour, you need to bump the traffic for that specific hour, and the technique into it. And we can see that is a lot of brands still figuring out. They're all getting better and better. But if you can work with people that already know how to do that, and from the get-go, there's a lot you can save, that you can just jump to the second level already.
Exactly. It's like you're having a swipe file of everything that you need to do when producing your actual event, which makes it go a lot more seamlessly and a lot smoother, which is very nice to have. Now, things that you should generally expect when you hire a live video producer is that there are 3 phases, right? There is pre-production, production, and post-production. So these are things that you should actually have during your conversations with a live video producer. And this is the difference that actually makes the difference. Because during pre-production, this is going to be your opportunity to start brainstorming, have a creative brief, let the live video producer know what you envision, what do you have in mind, what's a storyboard, is there a script? So as Helen likes to say, there are definitely moments within your live shopping event where you want to create that FOMO effect, that fear of missing out. You want them there to take action, right? So these are ideas that you definitely want to have when you're actually having your conversations with your live video producer. So when you're brainstorming, a couple of questions that you definitely want to ask are, do you want to sell more of your product? Which specific product, right? Do you want to bolster your brand's image? Do you want to connect with audiences? And more importantly, how do you want your viewers to feel after watching your live shopping event? What can you actually do? In most cases, I find for live shopping events, when you build this sort of camaraderie, this community where if someone else gets something that they've always wanted, you're like, man, I want to be on that same level. So the brainstorming phase is definitely important to have when you're planning your live shopping event. Make sure that your live video producer is sitting at that same table with you, your creative team, your marketing team, everyone else that's involved with the actual production of it. Next, you have your storyboard. Now, a storyboard is a visual that highlights each segment and how the broadcast transitions from one scene to the next, and it helps bridge the gap between the idea and the execution. This is helpful, wouldn't you agree, Helen? Because then you know, as a live video producer, what overlays you need to have, what testimonials, if you want to have a scrolling ticker, all the different elements that you want to bring into the show. Did you want to add anything to that?
I actually have a question to ask. I'm here just to and listen and learn today. When it comes to storyboard, because we have to give a lot of suggestions and recommendations to our client as well. And when it comes to this, we also have to figure out, how should we craft the show? And as you have a lot of experience, what do you think is a must do in the beginning of the show, and what is the must do in the end of the show when you craft this storyboard? Is there something that you checklist in the beginning and in the end?
Yeah. That actually brings me to my next point. You're totally on it. So
right on.
So this is a part of a typical run of show, right? So we tie in the visual branding elements. So if you notice that even when we started this show, we had a countdown timer. That's a really great opportunity to let people settle in and say, get ready, invite your friends, do whatever it is that you have to do to enjoy this experience, because that's really what you're putting together, is that you're creating an experience. Then you want to have a talking head, someone that actually introduces what the show is about, what the live streaming event is about. I usually tell clients to start off with, what is this about? Why is it important? How is this going to change your life? And if you can't tune in, what are some other things that you could do? Which is basically sign up for an email, follow our social media channels, and really go from there, right? Then you go into the presentation, which could be like a demo. Maybe you want to have an interview with a key opinion leader, or even show a video, a testimonial from a happy customer, an influencer, whoever you want to have. And then you could rotate all of that in there. Does that help?
Yeah, and I think there's one thing in our last show that I really love how you do is you give a really good amount of time to say hi to everyone who tuned in today. And then you remember their name, because I can see that throughout the whole show, you will name them and you will say, oh, I'm talking to you, like Tim, for the live producer. I remember last time. I really like how you address people. It's like what you point out in the third point, right? You need to tell them what is important for this show. And you do it throughout the show. It's like you make them feel important being there. They feel reward. They get a shout out. So I think this is also something that you did super well in the last show that we did. And I think it's really, really good for live shopping to feel like, oh, I'm here. I make the time for an hour to watch the show. And you actually remember me. You name me as well.
Of course. Yeah. You want to know who your super fans are. Because again, as soon as you say their name, right, they get a dose of those happy brain chemicals. And that's something that you want to build that relationship with them. So the next thing that happens is the pre-production, right? So you have the brainstorm, the creative brief, the storyboard, which we've already talked about. Then you also have the run of show. This is now we're getting into the script. We're talking about hooks, intros, teasers, things to actually keep them until the very end. Because if you just tell them at the very upfront, okay, bye now, here's the promo code, they could just, okay, got it, and then ditch the rest of the show. What you want to do is you want to keep your audience captivated and mesmerized. And so when you have a run of show, it's a document that lays out the actual timing, program, and content for each moment of the event. So if you want to grab one, I actually have lightscamera.live/script. And basically what it does is we have the hook, the bumper, the intro, the opening, and the teaser, and you could completely build it out any which way that you want to. And this run of show is going to be very helpful, not only for you, but also your live video producer, because it's going to give your live video producer an idea of when do I need to put the overlays, when do I need to do the transitions. And this is something that you could even do simple in a Google Doc as well. the fact that you are organized is going to be super duper helpful. Do you want to add anything about the power of having a run of show?
Yeah, I just want to add in, like, I just seen the comment coming in that they think this is really powerful. And then it's like what you have explained, like to address the audience, to call the name out, is like really what makes it so great instead of doing a pre-recorded video, because your audience will be commenting and saying hi to you. And it's just a pre-recorded video. You can't even say hi to them. Like, it's a really basic thing, greeting, right? So that was just like, there's a comment putting out, Caroline, saying that it's a really, really great differences between doing a live streaming and also a pre-recorded video.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I've had a couple of clients where we produced an actual event where we would do live sections and then we would have a pre-recorded video, which could be like a testimonial or a short interview or a product demo, and then cut back into being live. I would say that if you try to do a live shopping event that was just completely pre-recorded, then, it kind of loses the fun a little bit, I would say.
For the run, definitely for the run of show, I do have a question. Maybe a bit tricky. Like, we always tell the client, try to be prepared, but you can never be so prepared. So you have the run of show on your hand, but their accident happened. What should they?
Okay, so this is the fun part. So even in your visual branding elements, I would always turn to my clients and I would say, okay, if something goes wrong, is there an extra video clip that we could play that's 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes long, just so we can recover from it, right? Because if something happens, then you could at least push play on that video and no one else knows what's happening except you and the live video producer, right? I actually like having those little bumper videos, the just in case videos, versus a graphic that says, sorry, we're having technical issues, right?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing idea, actually, because we see a lot of, especially when brands are working with influencer, they let the influencer go in and then they do the show. Sometimes just some technical issues, and they don't even, because they don't know how to use the streaming platform. It's only the influencer that has the streaming platform on their phone, and they can't save it. But if they have listened to Stephanie's advice and they have used the streaming platform that allowed them to put like a bumper video, and that will be really great. And we have Caroline saying this, like screaming here, a lot of exclamation mark, like smart. I second that. I think that's a really, really great idea and a smart move to do. Like, you can never be too prepared, but you can also be prepared for those unexpected things as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've also had events where, let's say you were inviting another influencer to interview on there, but for some reason, maybe that influencer is having trouble jumping online. Knowing that you have a host who knows how to ad lib on the fly, right? Maybe even say like, okay, if we've played all of the videos that we have on hand, maybe we could actually show the website, right? Maybe we could fill in the slot of just engaging with the audience. So we could say like, Caroline, it's so amazing to have you here. Jennifer, yes, right? Those are great ways to go ahead and kind of play off any technical difficulties that you may have, because no one really knows unless you actually tell them that something is wrong.
Yeah, we always say like it's the same, right? Even though on Instagram you make a post and there might be some troll comments, how are you going to handle it? It's not about how to prevent or like to cut from the original source that we don't want troll comment. It's really more about how you're going to handle it afterwards. And I'm going to continue to let Stephanie speak because she's the master in how to handle these kind of situations on the fly in the live streaming world.
Okay, so other things to be mindful of, right? Because you and I just talked about this, is the importance of having an actual tech rehearsal. Right. And this is going to determine how many segments, how many products, how many people are actually involved in your event production. Because every single one of those, you want to test out their lighting, their audio, their gear, whatever it is, and have them have an actual checklist, because you never know between your tech rehearsal from the actual day of the event, if they unplugged anything, if they moved their desk, or any of that stuff. A tech rehearsal is an absolute must. And this is something that you should also have with your live video producer. If they don't mention this, find another one. All right.
Good advice.
Exactly. So having said that, these are a couple of things to keep in mind for you, your team, as well as your live video producer, is knowing your internet upload speed, right? Having an internet upload speed of at least 5 megabits per second, that's going to be absolutely amazing. We generally have our clients go to speedtest.net. That's the first thing that we do. Speedtest.net. Are you connected via an Ethernet, a wired connection? Are your devices, everything that's laying around, are they all connected to the Wi-Fi? Or do you have any other apps that are there, right? So
Yeah, we really can't emphasize this enough. I think that's like, I know people that's watching the show right now. I know we've talked about it a million times in the webinar with Mako talking about the fear of going live to do the test the Wi-Fi connection and then to do the upload speed, not the download speed, like all the differences. But like we can't reach out to like you just can't be so prepared with by yourself because we handle a lot of clients every day and we know these are the common mistakes that clients does.
Yes.
Maybe the influencer is streaming the show and then the sister in the other room is watching Netflix. Then that's not going to help you with the internet speed. So this is why like having Stephanie here, you got a list of things that you have to check. But it's also, if you're now watching this webinar, it's time for you to jot this all down as well for your next live shopping event as well.
Exactly. Take a screenshot. While you're here, just take a screenshot, make it super easy for you. So other things to keep in mind is earphones, right? So most people will have like these kind of like headphones where you don't see it hanging down in front of you. I actually use these bone conductor headphones, and so you can't necessarily see it because my hair is pretty much black. But I would also recommend having headphones. That way you don't have that audio feedback into the mic. Speaking of which, you want to have an external microphone because your external mic is going to work so much better than a built-in microphone that's on your laptop or on your desktop. The other thing too is having an external webcam opposite from your actual desktop or your camera itself. I'm actually using a DSLR. So I have a DSLR that I've connected to my desktop, and it allows me to have a different look and feel when I'm producing event. Same thing can happen if you're doing live shopping. You could have another DSLR on top, and then it looks down at the product as you're actually unboxing it. So many different things that you can do. Talk to a live video producer. They could help you plan out what your set should look like depending on the storyboard that you put together, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And then lighting. So this is basic, but these are things that some people forget as they're actually planning an event. Lighting is absolutely essential. Make sure that you don't have a window behind you. Try to sit in front of a light because that's always going to be flattering, right? If you have to, get lamps from the living room or the bedroom and just put them right in front of there, sit in front of a window, and that's going to be super, very helpful for you. Other things to be mindful of is noise reduction. Again, screenshot this. This should all be a part of your live shopping event checklist as you get ready to start your show. So phones, alarms, make sure they're silenced. There's no interruptions, background noise if possible, or if you anticipate, let's say, deliveries or little ones walking in the background, at least know how to mute your mic. At least know how to mute your mic because your live video producer is going to be listening very, very closely to what's happening. And if necessary, remember, technical difficulties, they could take you off camera. That way you're not sitting there awkwardly like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is true. Because what we've noticed is we always tell our client to test. We can't emphasize in some medicine, even say, hey, I'm into the tech rehearsal. The reason why you need to do tech rehearsal or even just moderation rehearsal is just like what Stephanie is saying. If you have a little kid comes into your room, or if you, I don't know, light bulb just suddenly goes off, and then you have to either mute yourself or turn off your camera, you don't remember that button when it's happening because you don't do it all the time. But that remote live producer that's going to help you, they will know in that second to turn off the camera or to mute for you or to switch to the bumper video that you already prepared because they remember where the button is. And it takes you months, years to remember exactly to react on those cases that maybe happen once every 30 events. So I think this is really a great point to point out that also another really good reason why you want to work with people that's really familiar with things, because even though you read everything, you don't have the experience, it makes a really, really huge difference in life.
Exactly. Yeah. So reducing background noise, that's always going to be very helpful. Again, a live video producer can give you some advice for, how to muffle the sound around you. Maybe you just need a better quality mic. Other things to be mindful of is that if you hear an echo, it's most likely because clients might have the actual production open on a separate browser. I've actually had a couple of clients try to pretend that they weren't. I'm like, I can hear it. Don't do that. The reason why that's so important is because if you use the analogy of if you were on stage performing in front of an audience, you are focused on the audience. You can't be in the audience at the same time, right? So you have to be focused 100% on the actual performance of the show. So in this case, your live shopping event. Now let's talk about production. This is going to be the fun part.
Cool.
So, as far as producing a show, right now we are actually in StreamYard. I use Restream, which is very similar as far as the interface goes. You could bring up to 10 on-air guests. You could multi-stream to Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, YouTube, all the different places. But most importantly, Livescale, right? That's going to be an opportunity for you. You also get a full HD 1080p. So if you wanted to repurpose your content, right, for later down the line, give your actual customers that FOMO effect of like, oh, you weren't there. This is what you missed out on. This was a knowledge bomb. That's an opportunity. Another one is going to be Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live is a great live streaming platform. It's the one that I actually use for Lights Camera Live when I had Helen on, and we did so many things, right? We did picture in picture, we did overlays. She gave me this new 1-minute video testimonial. Boom, we dropped it in there, and it was so much fun to do. So those are two platforms that I would highly recommend when you're thinking about your show, because it's going to be very easy for you to think about your overlays, your bumpers, and all of that amazing stuff. Helen, did you want to add anything to this?
I want to actually say one thing. It's like you guys didn't see it, but I saw it. So after the show last time, in Stephanie shows, she showed me, because like when she was doing those like switch in between, like now I'm struggling. I'm trying to switch, but like I have to count down because I'm not that familiar with it like Stephanie. But last time she was just on the fly switching when I'm presenting. There was like enlarge my monitor. Suddenly I'm the solo layout on the monitor, and then she bring us back in the conversation mode. Those are things that it takes really many shows to get used to, and then you know when is the right timing to enlarge which elements that you want. And it's not just like having a great of course, like the platform that Stephanie have suggested makes streaming a lot easier than doing like a bit more complicated technical setup, but still you need someone that is really know how to do the switch, when to do it, and not to do it too many, and do it in the right time. That will really enhance the experience of your audience as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And actually, what you were talking about is this amazing Stream Deck. And so I have it connected where if I want to do an intro, solo, dual, videos, whatever it is that I need, it's just a push of a button. And it makes it so easy. And it's very helpful when you're actually producing a show. So having said that, let's talk about post-production, because once you've actually done your live shopping event, how do you get people super excited about the next event that you're going to do? Because knowing that you had hired a live video producer, you're using Livescale, this is an amazing opportunity to get people excited about the next one. So post-production, generally with a live video producer, you can request an HD recording of the event that you just produced. Right? You could also request SRT files for captioning, because you never know if you have viewers or consumers that are hard of hearing. Plus, I also find that most people, when they watch videos, they love to see the text overlays on it. I find that it's going to be very great. Or if you're going to repurpose your content for consumers that speak a different language, that's a great way to do that as well. So other ways that you could do this is repurposing content. I personally love repurposing content. In fact, if you wanted to steal this slide right now, you absolutely can. Because the way that we actually promote this for our clients is that we start off with pillar content, which is your live shopping event, right? And then you repurpose that content into long form content. It could be articles, emails, blog posts, an ebook, right? Maybe you have like a makeup series that you want to say, these are all the amazing things that you can do. And then take that same video and turn it into 1-minute social media video clips, right? It could be a Facebook post, Instagram story, Twitter, all the different things that you could do. Even on LinkedIn, I personally love the LinkedIn stories aspects that are on there. You could do YouTube and even YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
For us, for our clients, we generally take one live stream and we could turn it into 94 pieces of content. So think
94. Oh my God, 94 is a lot. We definitely want that list. So to make it, to tailor it back to live shopping, because the audience is probably thinking, okay, we can do all of that with live streaming, but is there some specific thing that we can do with live shopping? I think apart from all the things that Stephanie tell you, definitely do it. Have your show, put it in your YouTube channel, make it either full version or like a highlight of your live shopping show. Do it in a blog post or do it in a newsletter to include it, social media. But also one thing is, very often in the live shopping show, your host will be demonstrating the product, will be explaining about the product. And those are super interactive and engaging and just wonderful content for your community, especially when you hire or when you work with the influencer that they love. Those are content that you want them to stay. So what you can do is you can cut those little product demonstration clips out. You can even add it to your e-commerce store. apart from the static image that you have, or maybe a little GIF that you have, or video that is you like really well made production video that you made for the product, you can also add in these live version of it, right? Because it's really sounded like they're chatting with people. It's also another really nice form of content that you can have on your e-commerce store as well.
Yes. I mean, even if you wanted to grab screen grabs of the comments of consumers that are saying like, yes, I absolutely love this, or I ordered one for me and for Helen and for all the women in my family. I think that's always something fun to have, is that social proof of you need to be here, because that's what makes it really fun. So let's talk about what's the cost. This is really going to vary depending on what type of production that you want or that you need. But what I will say is that during a full service type of production, you generally have what's called a discovery call. Everything that we talked about for the pre-production is basically, what do you envision? What is it that you want to do? How long do you want the actual broadcast to be? What's your promotional strategy? So maybe you have someone that's doing the full service for you, where they're helping you generate the copy, help you out with the landing page optimizations on Livescale, all of that stuff. Maybe they're also helping you out with the run of show, because again, you want to have an MC. You might want to have someone that helps you out as far as like what are your fallback videos, just in case. Creative assets, intros, outros, overlays. Perhaps your live video producer can create those for you, or you may have an in-house design team, which is absolutely amazing. Tech rehearsal. Right there, I just put an hour, but that really depends, again, on how many people you have and how robust your set is going to be, how many cameras you have, how many speakers, all of that stuff. Then you have the actual live streaming production. Maybe you're doing a 1 hour broadcast. Maybe it's a 2 hour thing. Maybe it's like a whole entire matinee, really up to you. Then you have optimizations. That's optional if you need someone to go ahead and just do optimizations for you on the other social media channels, and if they're doing Facebook advertising. So that's what I mean by full service. That's everything that's included in there. And then premium is really just focusing on the event. And then standard is really your scene switcher. If you take care of everything else as far as the creative assets, the run of show, then all you really need is someone to go in there and just follow that run of show and be like, oh, okay, now Helen's going to talk about this, switch the screen, boom, 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 boom. And you're good to go at that point. So that's pretty much everything at this point. I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing at this. But yeah, that's live video production.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Stephanie. That's a really, really complete guide. I hope that maybe Stephanie can share with us later that we can make some file for our community to download, because like those checklists gold. And in the end, those are estimate of hour that you need to spend and invest for a good event. That is also really, really good information for all of us, because a lot of us is maybe not even familiar with live streaming, let alone live shopping, right?
Yes.
But before we let you go today, I do have a question that I want to ask about. Like, we talk a lot about remote live producer, and live shopping is a really new thing. And I'm sure it's also a new thing for a lot of a remote live producer. So what is the differences or the importance that our community should pay attention when they're picking the remote live producer for live shopping over live streaming? Because I know it's a very similar thing, but it also comes with like special thing that only live shopping has. For example, including the e-commerce integration. What if that part has a problem, and how to handle that exactly, etc.
Yeah, I would say for the live shopping experience, when you're hiring a live video producer, it's helpful to have someone that has that marketing background, because they can work with you in understanding your run of show and how language is important for your call to action, right? So you just saying, hey, here's the product once may not be the most effective thing for your live shopping event when you've invested so much. And so having someone that has a marketing background is going to be super helpful. Some other live video producers, they know how to do churches, right? Every live video producer has a specific niche that they're experts in. Some could be talk shows, podcasts, church organizations, fundraisers. What you really want for your live shopping event is someone that actually knows the Livescale platform, understands marketing, and how it all works together.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I don't know if you guys have jotted all the notes. So if not, I'm just going to give a little summary of everything that is like really important around everything that we have heard today. So for the reason why you have to choose a remote live producer when you do your live shopping show is because it just saves you a lot of money and time and effort and resources from the mistake, to fill the knowledge gap, etc. And also something that you just can't really get from the beginning to learn is the experience, right? When there's something happen, the question that we ask them, or the fear, what if something went wrong? And then what can we do? You don't really have a lot to do about it if you don't know what to do, right? And this is where remote live producer comes in, because they know exactly what might happen and what is the solution for that problem. So this is also another really great reason for that. And then for the last one is a technical one, right? Because to do a lot of like switching monitor, to arrange everything in between from the pre-event to post-event, like meaning that the pay media, the production things, like how to arrange like the host, which software to use, how to do the connection, do the as small as like the internet test, or after how to repurpose your content. I remember it's 94, is it, that you usually do for clients? Like one.
It's 94.
Yeah, honestly, I can't even come up with 94. Like, I would love to know what is that 94 things that we can, like, how can we repurpose it in that level? Because that extend a lot from your live streaming video. It's not just that 1 hour. You maximize the advantage of that 1 hour of the fear of missing out, and then you reward them, you earn that community bonding. But after, you can extend your value and remove time constraint by repurposing that. So that is like actually really, really, really great point of using or working with a remote live producer, because that's the insight they can give you. It might take you like 50 events to figure out 94 or maybe 60. Like, so honestly, I think this is really, really like the most shocking fact for me today.
Well, maybe next time when I come back, I could actually show you the 94 different ways. It's absolutely amazing with what it is that you can do. You just need the right tools and the software. And once you have that system down, right? It's so powerful, because if you did one live shopping event, turned it into 94 pieces of social media content, digital confetti, right? For the next 94 Mondays, you could just schedule it out of like testimonial, product demo, customer testimonial. Here's another one, little bits of it. And now you have this product. And the only time you really have to swap it out is if you're going to be doing a second edition or a different kind of rollout, right, to replace it. But other than that, you could stay top of mind and tip of tongue when you're repurposing your content.
Yeah, this is amazing. We don't want to miss it. I think it's like heavy enough to be like a one webinar episode. We want to know how to repurpose that content. Is amazing. So thank Caroline for tuning in. Caroline said that was amazing. Great tips and great live experience. Thank you, Stephanie. Same for me, for Nano, our team. Thanks a lot, Stephanie, for joining us today to tell us all about live streaming and also remote live producer. So if you guys are interested in working with the remote live producer and you're not sure who to go for, Stephanie is one of the great one that you can choose, or I'm sure you can talk to Stephanie and then ask if they're like, because Stephanie mentioned, right, you want to work with an expert that knows your industry. If you're e-coms or if you're like beauty industry, fashion, you might have a particular problem that you might face that might occur during a live shopping show. And I'm sure Stephanie will be able to point you to the right person as well. So if you came in late, or like if you want to just do a recap because the content is great, just don't miss out our blog recap. And we will also have the recording of this in our blog post. You will be able to see all the details and the screenshot that we have from Stephanie shared the checklist and everything for your remote live producer tips.
All right.
Okay, cool then. So thanks a lot again today for Stephanie, and see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.